I fixed my washing machine because of YouTube.
Oh yeah.
So I was gonna buy another one, and then I'm like, you know what? I'm a man. I can fix this.
This is your captain speaking. We've been cleared for takeoff.
What's up, everyone? I am Travis Odom, and today we are starting a new podcast called Lanesharkin. So welcome to Lanesharkin with Travis, and today we are with our good friend Ben Wood, who is the owner of JBT Power, just down the road from us. And so welcome, Ben. Thank you very much for your time and coming here.
Yeah, thank y'all for having me.
Absolutely. I really appreciate you being the first one in the podcast room. So we'll start off with, what do you think about it?
It's honestly pretty cool. Kind of like we talked about earlier, it's always something that I've wanted to do and stuff like that, and having the opportunity and now getting to see it in real life, it's cool. I like it.
It's been pretty wild to watch Brandon put all this together. So
That's right. Yeah.
shout out to Brandon for doing all this hard work.
Thank you, Brandon.
The only thing that I added to this was the neon sign. It was originally going to be one of those like cut out with the side light. I was like, no, we got to get a real neon sign in here.
Full blown.
That's my only contribution. So the rest of
it sets it off. That's what
Brandon.
you need.
Oh, yeah. So, again, thank you very much for coming here. We really appreciate your time, and we just kind of want to get into what makes you tick, and what do you love so much about the tractor industry, if you do love it that much?
Yeah. Well, the tractor industry is a very unique industry. I will say that. One thing about it that I have noticed is the dealer network has got to be really good. We get along with all the dealers that are next to us and stuff like that, so we work together because at the end of the day, we are independently owned, and the tractor manufacturers are a lot bigger.
Right.
I won't say they don't force stuff on you, but if the dealers stick together, we can work to build our businesses together.
Right. Yeah, and it's always nice to have someone that you can lean on. Like if you got a customer that really needs something, you can touch base with one of your other dealer friends and take care of them. Yeah, that's always a good thing. So how did you guys get started in JBT Power? So did you guys create it, or you buy in, or how's that work out?
Do we have enough time for that one?
Oh man, I got till 3:00, so I got plenty of time to do it.
Perfect. So JBT Power started. My father worked in financial services. So basically, he worked at a company that managed retirement funds. And one day, he went to another outdoor equipment business and saw that there was an opportunity there. And he likes working outside, and he enjoyed that. And so it was kind of his vision and his idea to get into this industry. And when he purchased JBT Power, it was just a lawn and garden shop. Just a father-son had it.
Right.
They had no intentions of growing it. They were steel and snapper. And so when my father bought it in 2011, he brought me in, and we picked up another zero-turn line and continued to grow it. And I've always had the motto, like, it's customer service. I mean, I really think that's what makes the difference, is making sure that we take care of the customer to the best of our abilities.
Yeah, especially in this day where everybody's just Amazon, I want it now, I want it now. But you may get it now, but then you have no service, nobody to help you if something's wrong. And that really is like kind of gone by the wayside. People forget about customer service. And that's one thing that we focus on a lot is customer service. So like I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So whenever you started, you said 2011,
right?
And so what were you doing? You kind of just doing a little bit of everything.
Actually,
at that point?
in 2011, yeah. I mean, I was still pretty young. I worked at the Chevron refinery over in Pascagoula, Mississippi. That's where I left to come work with him, and we worked together for about 2 years, right at the startup. So, and we were pretty wide open. I mean, I think in our second year we hit $1 million in sales.
That's awesome.
From when we had purchased it.
So they over double.
Right, what the previous owners had done. And, what happened was Dad had this vision, and I was 22 years old. I had a vision too. So I ended up going to alcohol distribution and worked for a distributor based out of Birmingham. And I loved it. I'm a big consumer would be a good word to say. And so it was something that I really grew into, and I was able to be extremely successful in that, which
So you kind of like broke away just to go
Yep.
prove yourself, get out of town.
Yep.
Yeah, I did the same thing whenever I was 21. I moved to South Carolina just to get out of Pensacola.
Yeah.
I wanted to get out from everything I knew. Went up there and built houses for a long time, and then moved back and kind of started this. But I get it. You got to prove yourself at some point.
Exactly. And I think it was big for me, myself, knowing that I could do it without my dad having to help me or something like that.
Yep.
And, and he did the same thing. I mean, he grew JBT Power exponentially. I mean, it's amazing what he was able to do with it. And, when we had the conversation about me moving back and joining back up with him, he had picked up tractors, he had picked up trailers. So it had grown since I'd even been there.
Right.
And being able to help him expand on what he sees for it, I've enjoyed a lot. And,
absolutely.
Getting back into the industry, and it's different from when I was in it, but it's also kind of the same. A lot of the stuff's the same. A lot of people are still the same. So
yeah, you talk about customer service. I don't know if you know this, but I guess it was 2 years ago before we ever met you guys and talked to you. This kind of like one thing that made me really want to get you guys once we realized we could get you guys set up as a dealer. I went over there to the Daphne location because I was trying to figure out a return for a Kioti tractor for a customer in South Carolina. So I went over there and I was just looking at tractors, and Rick came out and we got to talking. And I can't remember her name, but the lady that runs the parts,
Karen. Yep.
So Rick and Karen like bent over backwards to help me. Knew that I was the owner of Lanesharkin, which was a competitor to something that y'all were selling.
That's right.
But did not care. Did everything they could to help me. I had to order a part. Like you guys got it overnighted for me. So like you definitely do live up to what you're trying to do. So that's a big thing. So not only do you talk it, you definitely walk it. So I really appreciated that. So.
Yeah. Well, without the customers, we're not doing anything. So
exactly, you can't do anything if you can't sell something. Talking about Rick, he's one of your salesmen.
Sales reps. Yep.
Okay, so that's a question. What kind of obviously you got people that come in and they're salespeople. They maybe have been doing that for a while. What type of training do you guys do for your salespeople?
Mostly what I do with my sales guys is the first thing I tell them is there's not a secret or a science to sales.
Right.
It's all relationships.
Right.
Treat people how you want to be treated. The thing I have to teach them is how to use the system or something like that. The big thing I always tell them is, we need to make sure, like you said, customer service, you create a relationship with people, and then those people will refer more business to you. We don't manufacture anything that we sell.
Right.
So we stand behind everything we sell. And if we have the relationships built in the community and throughout, people who purchase from us, I think in that way we can really grow the business as far as sales go.
What type of ask the question, right? So what type of thing would you come in and offer at the end? Like if your salesman's trying to close a deal on something, like what kind of stuff would you come in and be able to offer at the end that your salesman wouldn't necessarily be able to offer to a customer?
Most of it is, sometimes I learned this when I was in distribution. I could go to an account and pitch this deal over and over and over, and they would say, no, no, no.
Right.
And then my supervisor would come in and pitch the same deal and get it. And I think being able to see from a manager is saying the exact same thing that the sales rep is saying, that, okay, they're in cohesiveness together, I think helps bring it home for some of the customers purchasing from us. And then showing them the reliability, like I'm here for you too.
So it's about that trust,
right?
There at the end.
Just because he's a sales rep doesn't mean he's just selling you and wiping you out and going to the next one. We care about the customer that we have, and we provide that service after the sale.
Right. And so in that, like, it's knowing what your customers are wanting, obviously, so you come in and you can take care of what they need.
Communication.
Okay, yeah. So how much do you communicate with your existing customers? So, like, one of the things that we deal with is we don't really sell a whole lot of different products. So we get that trust and we make that one sale to the end user, and then we don't really have a whole lot to offer them. And that's something that I've been trying to understand is like how much tractor dealers market to their existing customers, because you have such a broad array of things to offer. Like when you get somebody that comes in, do you do like marketing campaigns to existing customers to try to get them back in the door for other stuff, or how do
Yeah,
how do you handle
absolutely.
that?
We one of the things that we do, like right now, currently, we're offering free pickup and delivery.
Oh, wow.
So right then, if you bought a tractor or mower from us in Baldwin County, we will pick your mower up or pick your tractor up, bring it back to our shop, do the service, and that's all you pay for. We drop it back off to you for free.
That's awesome.
So what that does is in turn gets us to call those existing customers
Right.
that we may not have talked to see, hey, if you don't need service, how is the tractor doing? How's the property coming along?
Right.
So I do harp on my guys to do that because, for our business, maintenance is a big key. And keeping your equipment running. I mean, there's no good in buying a tractor if it doesn't start half the time.
Yes,
So we want to make sure that we're doing our best to make sure that our customers are taken care of.
Right. That's one thing that we've been trying to push with our existing dealers is to market to those existing customers to get those people back in the door, because you may have someone that you sold a tractor to 5 years ago that doesn't know Laneshark exists.
Right.
You market to them. They realize Laneshark exists. They bring their tractor in to do an install. While you have it there, you can do preventative maintenance on the tractor.
Yep.
Check out everything. See if there's anything that needs to be repaired on the tractor.
Right.
So you could sell, a $5,000 Laneshark, and then by the time it's all over, there may be a $10,000 ticket price of stuff that customer needed, but they didn't realize they needed.
Right.
Because you spend that extra $5,000 now, which may save them $10,000 in a broke down tractor in a couple of months.
And a broken back.
Yeah, well,
I'm telling you, I was so excited when we first got ours. I was like, the pole saw is staying in the shed.
oh yeah, it's been we've had a lot of people that I think have thrown away their pole saws.
Well, we actually didn't. So we had a gas pole saw, and then when they had the electric one worked, and my uncle and I were using it, and he was like, I don't care if that thing's $10,000, we got to have it. And so then we kind of started talking. He's like, I've seen those tractors on the road that municipalities use.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, if we could have something like that. And I'm like, got it.
Yeah.
Done. Of course, at that time, I had called to try and get set up as a dealer. So that's when I was like, I told him I could get it. I got to get it now.
Oh, yeah. Well, like I say, I think one of the big things was my experience with Rick.
Yeah.
And so that Karen.
Yep.
Whenever Brian told me that you had reached out to us, I was like, man, we gotta figure out a way to make it work. So I'm glad we did. And, but yeah, like say you own a Laneshark.
We do, yes.
So I guess you bought one of the first ones that we got over there.
I got an LS2. Yep.
Okay. And so how many hours do you think you have on yours?
Me personally using it, probably, I don't know, 10 maybe.
Okay.
Not that much.
Enough to know how useful it is.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's one of those ones that, my uncle likes to keep his place really clean. And, when we're cutting, I've told him before, I'm like, don't do this alone, because you'll go cutting 2 miles of road and then we got to go back and pull everything out of the road. Because, you just get going. It's so easy to use. It's just a breeze.
So obviously you own a Laneshark, so you have a lot of experience with it. So whenever a customer comes in, you're able to talk to them about it and be informed about it.
Yep.
Are there any questions that the customers ask that you think you would not really be able to answer if you hadn't been using it?
Yes and no. I think kind of the functionality of it. When it's sitting on a tractor, I think them being able to see it is one thing, and knowing that I've used it myself, I don't look confused.
Right.
I guess would be a good way to say it. Like, I'm not sure which way this thing spins or something like that. So I can kind of, with me using mine, I kind of learn some things about it, what I can do with it, how to adjust it, as I'm going. And then when the customer asks me about it, I'm able to explain to them real world, capabilities and scenarios. Like, we sold one, the guy was he was talking about his driveway. And I think his idea was he was going to put his son in the bucket, pick his kid up so they could cut. And I'm like,
I've been that kid.
I'm going to solve that. Yes.
I've been that
right.
Kid. Yeah.
So, and then he was, when we showed it to him, we started looking at it, and then he was like, man, and then you could just see once you start seeing the wheels spinning in somebody's head, and they well, man, if I get this, now I can do this, and now I can do this. then it starts making it easier because the sale's almost done at that point because they're like, look at how many capabilities and maintenance that I'm eliminating with just one piece of equipment.
Absolutely.
And so I think, and then again, having real world experience with it reassures them like, okay, this guy's using it. So obviously he knows how to use it, knows what he's doing with it. And because I think there was one guy that I had I had to actually push the sell on him. And he's been pleased with it. We had some minor stuff with it. Had some hoses rubbing, and we got that coil for it to protect the hoses. But one of the things was the weight of the LS3 was a little bit lighter than I think something in that same competitor or something.
Yeah, so that's the LS3 was built specifically for like whenever I started, it was built around like the Kubota L2501.
Right.
So we dropped I dropped like
Kubota around here.
I'm sorry. One of those tractors is like a 25 horsepower tractor.
Yeah.
So I think I dropped 150 pounds from the LS2 down to the LS3 for that. And then I got the first prototype built and went to change positions, and it was like wham right into the grill of the tractor.
So you had to go the opposite direction.
Yeah, so if you'll notice, LS3 spins out the other way. And which
occasionally works great for the LS4. On some of our tractors that we sell, you kind of have to play with it a little bit because the LS4 is so big, it actually gets towards that brush guard.
Yeah. So the new unit that's coming out will solve all of that. Won't have to do anything with touching it even really.
Right.
But yeah, I've actually thought about
little sneak peek.
Well, we've got it in a couple of magazines. So we're doing something with one of the dealers up north. We got it in there. We sent it out to the dealers. I want to tell everybody about, which people are gonna know about it when they listen to this, but I want to like put it out there.
Right.
But our manufacturing has been so slow this year that I'm afraid to say, okay, we're gonna release it.
Yeah.
And then something else happened, and then people are just gonna be even more mad at us. So my goal is to have it out by March, April this year. It's just been, we're fortunate because we've been selling a lot of units.
Right.
But it's just our manufacturing has just been very slow this year. We're dealing with personnel, but we're building a whole new shop that's right behind us here.
Yep.
Just for the hammerhead.
Yep.
So it will build nothing but the hammerhead to begin with.
And I got a sneak peek, and it looks pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, they're putting the epoxy floor down there.
That's right.
I can't wait for that to get done. They started sprinkling all the stuff out. It was exciting. So I can't wait to see that. But yeah, that shop's gonna be as nice as can be. As we plan on shooting a lot of videos in there.
Right.
Do a lot of short form content to show people kind of what we're doing. Because right now we don't own our own manufacturing, so it's hard to go up there and like show. Because I want to bring the customers in on the experience, so they can see from the first piece of metal that gets cut to it shipping out the door.
Right.
And I think that's going to really get people to see what we're about and like what we're doing. And I've tried to do some videos like that with manufacturing side of it before. I put too cool of a song on it, and it was copyrighted, so I couldn't even really post it. Waste of video time, but you live and you learn. So, but yeah, the hammerhead, whenever it comes out, I think it's going to be a big hit because you're going to basically, you get on the tractor, you hit a button to turn the system on, and then you got a button just to kick it out, up and down, so you don't ever have to get off the tractor.
Yep.
It's gonna be a little bit more expensive, obviously, but we've got so many people that I think are just dying to get it now. So.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, again, features to make life easy.
Yeah.
I think I had a meeting with one of the sales guys, and he said, people buy what they need and they spend what they want.
Yeah.
So
that's definitely what happens lately. So. One of the things that I mentioned earlier, I've never really think about because we don't really sell a whole lot to our actual area, and I was reading some of the stuff you talked about how involved you are in your community. How much do you think that helps you build that relationship with the community, and actually when people do come in, they already like know and trust you even though they haven't even met you? Do you think that's worth all of the time that you spend outside of work to build that relationship with people as they come in or before they even come in?
Right. So, one, I'm a extrovert. I don't know if anybody noticed.
I've noticed.
Yeah. So it was funny when my wife and I took our test when we got married. I was on one end of the spectrum and she was on the other end.
That's how it always works.
Yeah, exactly. So I enjoy being involved in the community. I like people knowing my name and because that's the only thing, a person has is their name. If that changes, you do something wrong with that, it's just going to follow you around.
Right.
So as involved as we are in the community, I really enjoy knowing those people and knowing that if they're out there, they're a sales rep for me as well. When they're talking to a friend of theirs and they're like, yeah, we just bought this property over, and he's like, oh, you need to go see my man Ben at JBT. Go talk to him. He'll take care of you. Now subconsciously that person's like, well, I trust them, and if they trust Ben, then I can trust Ben.
Absolutely.
So we do stuff outside the box. I mean, it is not always just, hey, we're JBT Power, we're here to donate money and time. I mean, we do things that tractor companies probably have never seen, like the mascot for the band of the week.
Yeah.
And we sponsored tailgates there was a pickleball tournament actually in Daphne, and we were the tailgate sponsor. So I had a trailer out there with a smoker, tractors, the Kioti side by side, stuff like that, and it brings people awareness to it too.
Right.
They get to see that stuff. And I don't know how many pickleball players are buying tractors, but at least they know, I remember that one guy that was out there. I'm going to go check them out. So we are very heavily involved. I like being a part of the community, and I like, we spend our time. I live in that area, so I want people to like me when they see me out and about.
So for other dealers out there, like, you say you like to do off-the-wall stuff, so what is one thing that you think most tractor dealers wouldn't think of but would benefit a lot from?
So what they would benefit from it? I would say we do a lot of hay rides recently. I think a lot of people like that, involving kids. I don't know if you've ever taken your kids shopping, but they like, I want it, and if I don't get it, I'm going to throw a holy tantrum. We just recently did one hay ride, and we had this picnic table set up, and we bought these little not paper, but they're like little wooden tractors. And we set up a tent and stuff like that, and it was decorate an ornament, make a tractor ornament for your Christmas tree.
Oh, yeah.
And so the kids start coloring. Well, they're usually supervised with a parent, and now we get to start a conversation with the parent.
Absolutely.
And again, they may not be, but they may know somebody that is. They may be looking at property, and then when they purchase property, they're going to come back and see us. So kids is one thing that I've seen. If you can capture the kid, the parents got to be there too. So, and then you get to have that conversation with them.
Yeah, so that's one thing. We're, to kind of in that same scenario, we are, whenever the Hammerhead gets released, we've already got the mod set up to do the farming simulator.
Right.
So we're going to have a Hammerhead on farming simulator. Same scenario, like getting in with the kids.
That's it.
Obviously, kids aren't going to buy a Lanesharkin,
Right.
but they're going to be talking about it, hopefully, to their dad. And he's going, what is this thing? And then realize it's a real.
Or talk about how cool it was,
Yeah.
and the dad's like, all right, well, I want to go check it out.
Yeah, I can't wait for that to happen. So that's gonna be pretty exciting once we get that going.
We do another event that, probably has nothing to do with selling tractors, but Ladies' Night.
Oh,
So it was funny because, again, being involved in the community, we were at a after-hours business event, and one of the, we try to make sure that our shop is female-friendly as well. I want them to know that my wife is comfortable walking in somewhere, so, we make sure our shop's clean, our offices are clean, everybody's, clean cut and stuff like that. And so we were at this event, and the woman was like, I want to come up to JBT Power. And I'm like, well, you should come up there. And she was like, I want to do an event up there. And I said, we can do anything you want to do. I said, I tell you what, I'll get tractors out there, and you women can get out there and drive around on tractors. And I think we talked about this in March, and she was like, well, our next event in April is already taken care of, but let's do it in May. And I was like, perfect. I like margaritas, tacos, and tractors. Next day, I got an email, Ladies' Night, JBT Power, Tacos and Tractors driving event. And it has actually become the #1 chamber event for women on the Eastern Shore.
that's awesome.
It sells out every year. And last year, I actually got asked to bump the capacity. And you've been to our place. You put 40 cars in there, it fills up quick.
Oh, absolutely. Talking about the one right here in
Daphne, yeah.
I don't even see how you get 40 cars in
Well,
there.
we
It's so
move
tight.
everything out of the back. So all the tractors and everything gets moved to the back, and then 40 cars come in there. And then I start feeding women margaritas, and then they're driving tractors around our parking
that's
lot.
hilarious.
So I do make sure there is a disclosure for all the husbands out there. if they run into their own car, it is no, we are not responsible. So, but it's turned into a great event, and of course now the guys are like, well, I want my men's night up there. I want a tractor event, and I said, the difference. Women don't really understand the difference between the turtle and the rabbit on a tractor. The guys know the difference. They'll make those adjustments, and then there'll be a NASCAR race in our parking lot.
Yeah, so you definitely got to keep it slow.
But like we talked about, you get if the wife approves,
the
wife says, "Well, I know I can drive that tractor. That's where we're getting a tractor from."
That's a
done deal.
Yeah, that's a good point. So we actually have a customer. I remember him till the day I die. His name is Ricky Gatlin, and he bought a Laneshark probably 4 years ago, and the store, basically they were driving down the road in Andalusia, and they passed the dealership, and they had one up in the air, and it was green, and they both were like, what in the world was that? So the wife's like, I don't know, let's turn around and go look at it. And they got there, and he was wanting to buy a tractor, and so the whole time he's talking to the guy about buying the tractor, she's over there looking at the Laneshark. And so then he goes back to talk to her. He's like, I think I'm going to get a tractor. She's like, I don't care if you get a tractor. That's fine. Whatever you get, as long as it'll run that Laneshark right there. And that's like one of the coolest stories I'll never forget. Yeah. And I was telling Brandon about it the other day, and we made a post like asking, I forget what we asked, but he was like the third or fourth person to comment on it. Yeah. And I was like, this is awesome. So I can't wait to, we're going to try to do a brand story video here in the next, sometime this year.
Right.
And I hope to get him and his wife on that, because it's going to be a really cool testimonial. But yeah, they
run the household, and
yeah, I mean, anybody that's married knows that.
Exactly.
For sure.
No. Happy wife, happy life.
So talking about having the right stuff in inventory, like how do you judge and plan for your year? Like, I need to get X amount of tractors, or I need to get X amount of lawnmower. Like, how do you judge what you need and plan for your year ahead? Do you base it off of last year's sales, or do you look at like market conditions? What do you use?
So we run a 5-year. We basically, when we do our numbers and things like that, we look at a 5-year plan. Now I will say, when COVID hit in 2020, it threw everything out of whack. It got to the point between 20 and about towards the end of 22, if you had it, somebody was going to buy it.
Right.
And it was legitimate when you told a customer, look, you see it now, it may not be here tomorrow, so you need to buy it now. And with the supply chain and issues getting inventory, that was one of the things. It's so much different now. Like, I'm planning my budget. So we look at our natural growth in our markets. Mm-hmm. We look at what we need to do to grow. And then I base it off of previous experience. So let's say in 22, we sold 15 35 horsepower tractors in between 2 locations. Mm-hmm. Well, in 24, I should be able to sell 20 35 horsepower tractors because of natural growth, essentially. And people moving up, trading in. We deal with a lot of different things like that. So I pay attention to kind of what the market does, what my sales are doing, basing on pricing, financing, available options, different things like that.
I got you. Yeah, that's one thing that I've always struggled with, because I built houses until I started Laneshark. Like,
right.
I had no idea how to do any of this stuff. So basically, like, we started out, the first year sold a few units. The next year we quadrupled in sales, and then coming into 2020, our sales did the same thing as everybody else. Like, just went exploded, and couldn't find parts, couldn't figure out how to keep up with the demand. And then 21 was even crazier. This year we had 2021, and then 22 we had a correction.
Right.
And then 23 we're basically right back with kind of the flow that we were in.
Yeah.
And then we get to this year, and our sales are perfect, and our supply, like our ability to keep up with the demand, has just been horrible. And that's one thing
What happens when you make a good product? I'll say that.
It's a great problem to have, but it is frustrating. I hate not being able to tell a customer that I can get them their product in 2 weeks. Like, that's always my goal.
And we're still dealing with that in the industry. I mean, we do rental equipment, and we have, we sell lifts. We're a dealer for Nifty lifts. It's 2 years to get a lift out of Great Britain. So
Holy cow.
yeah, I mean, that's one of the ones, if you see it, you better buy it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Wow.
yeah.
Is that probably there's probably no way to know, but is that like a product of like having too much demand, or is it just tough to get stuff over here? Or
I think it's a bit of both. One of the great things about those lifts are they're easy to maneuver. They're four-wheel drive. A lot of people like them because they're smaller. You can put them on smaller trailers. I think the demand on them are very high. I think a lot more people are purchasing equipment like that instead of renting equipment now, and it's just a demand thing. And then when COVID hit, and I don't know what the laws are in Great Britain, but maybe they only work 2 days a week, 3 days a week, something like that. This makes it all the way to Great Britain. Sorry if I offended anybody.
we're not talking shit about them. We
That's
just don't
right.
know.
Yeah, love to
Ignorant.
know more.
Yeah. I can't imagine something taking 2 years. Like I think our back order's bad. 2 years is insane.
We just received some Toro Dingoes and 2 nifty lifts that we ordered at the rental show in October of 21.
That's wild.
Just received them.
So that kind of brings me to something else. Well, we created a dealer trade network just recently. Is there any? Do other equipment manufacturers have anything like that? Have you used our dealer trade network yet?
I don't think so.
So we actually made it where you can go onto the dealer portal and you can request trades. And so if there's another dealer that has too much inventory or something, they can trade.
Okay.
So we've been trying to get that out there.
Yeah, so some of the different suppliers that we work with or manufacturers, it's, on one, it's called an equipment locator. And then with the other tractor manufacturer, I can actually go on and look at who has inventory for a specific model. So you get a lot of people that come in, I want a 50 horsepower hydrostat. Well, if I don't have it, let me see if there's one in my area, I guess. Because I normally won't drive, we'll go to Birmingham to pick up a tractor to trade with another dealer. And I always say, if I've got something, you can have it, especially right now with inventory being a lot higher. And so we do trade a lot. I mean, just today, I drove here. I picked up a
you got
cutter, over in Gulf Breeze. So, we try to make sure that all the dealers around us, we're partners with them, and we have good relationships with them. So we do a lot of, especially during COVID when it was hard to get inventory. There were times where, some dealers are like, look, I can't let you have it.
Right.
It's the only one I got.
Yeah, super low inventory. They don't want to get rid of it.
Right. And at times we were offering like, look, man, I'll pay you $1,000 over your cost just so we can make the deal. Because, we do sell the equipment, and you can sell equipment. You can sell $10 million worth of equipment. But if you're not servicing the equipment, you're not going to make any money, to be honest. So we want to make sure we're servicing so our dealership can continue to grow and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about keeps going back to that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing to have.
I want to be the Chick-fil-A of outdoor equipment.
You said that, and that I read that, and it kind of sparked something in me that I have never thought of it that way. But everybody thinks of Chick-fil-A as being
the standard.
I've always said since I started Lanesharkin, like, I want to be a household name.
Yep.
And I read that line the other night, and I'm like, I'm shifting my focus. Like, I want to be the Chick-fil-A of brush cutters, because like our whole focus is taking care of the customer, doing whatever we can to make them happy. Obviously, you can't please everybody.
That's right. Yep.
But being the Chick-fil-A of anything is like the new benchmark that I have. So I appreciate you putting that, because that's definitely going to change my.
Well, we had a Coyote dealer meeting in North Carolina, and they actually had a Chick-fil-A owner was one of the keynote speakers, and just kind of the processes that go through, and especially in today, how hard is it to get somebody to say "my pleasure" after a customer says "thank you"? And it's just that is the line. If you want to work at Chick-fil-A, when somebody says "thank you," you say "my pleasure." And I think it took them 3 years to instill that to where, I mean, now if you go to Chick-fil-A, it's every time.
Yeah.
And there's a reason the line's wrapped around the door, every time. Like, I love, and the food's good. They have a quality product. So, I wanted that mindset to me was, how, look at a Chick-fil-A. I don't think I've ever seen one fail. So, or clothes.
If it has it, there had to be something,
Right?
something that didn't have to do with
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
Like the town exploded or something.
And it's always packed.
Yeah.
And so, that was just kind of my mindset was you go into Chick-fil-A, it's always, even though it's so crowded, it's still not that bad. I mean, people are friendly, people are nice. 95% of the time your order's right, and if it's not right, they make sure they do whatever they can to take care of it.
Yep.
And
That's one thing I wrote down when I was going through this last night is like helping even though it's not my problem.
Right.
And
Yep.
integrity. Like those two things kind of stood out whenever I was reading all this. So
yeah, and that guest note, that keynote speaker, he said something. It was called LART. LART. LART.
you learn something new.
Listen, apologize, resolve, thank. He said that is what at his Chick-fil-A, if a customer's upset, he listens, he apologizes, resolves what the problem is, and then thank him right then. And he said most of the time when you apologize or resolve it, it doesn't even get,
Right.
or I think his example was we forgot to put somebody's fries in their bag. And he said, okay, what's your address? I'll bring your fries to you. And they were like, wait, what?
Completely disarms them.
Right, exactly. And they were like, no, I just wanted to let you know.
Right.
So that's what, anytime I get a customer on there, I try to listen. I'm like, listen, let me take care of it. Let me help you.
Right.
I promise you, I'm trying to help you.
That's one thing I try to get especially Logan in service, which he does a wonderful job. It's like when somebody calls in with a problem, just tell them we're gonna take care of it. Like that disarms like if they're frustrated, like understandably so.
Yeah.
Tell them no matter what, we're gonna take care of your problem, and that pretty much stops all of the frustration, anger, and then we're able to like get to the root of the problem and solve it. And it's just knowing that you're gonna be that you're gonna take care of, that you're gonna be taken care of.
Right.
Just melts away all of the frustration. So that's a big thing. But I'm going to have to, that's going to be a good clip, the LART.
LART.
I'm going to have to remember that one.
Yep.
Luckily, this is
recorded.
We're video.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's, man, I would love to have someone that worked at Chick-fil-A come work here. I bet that would put us on another level.
They'd be trained up. That'd be the thing.
Like I've never seen someone with a resume that said Chick-fil-A. Like I've never had anybody apply for
They probably had like a Fortune 500 company or something like that.
Like it's like better than college. Go work at Chick-fil-A.
That's right. Yeah.
You get paid for a better than a college degree.
I'm sure the margins aren't bad on a chicken sandwich, so they can afford
probably not.
25 people working the counter.
Man, it is wild. Like especially like I used to have one up in Greenville where I lived, and they were just no dine-in. It was just 2 drive-throughs.
Yeah.
And it was just a circle all the way around.
I've been to one where they had traffic guard. They had to direct traffic for cars coming in and out. And I'm like, dude, it's a chicken sandwich, man. I know it's good, but it's a chicken sandwich.
They must be putting something else in there.
Well, it was the first thing he said when he got up there. He goes, I'm with Chick-fil-A. Yes, there is crack in the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Perfect. I knew it. He finally gave
That's
us
right, the secret ingredient.
I'm trying to think of how to ask this question because like I think it's an important point. Like whenever you want to get the customer the part they need the very first time, because like that's something that we deal with. Like whenever the customers do call in, and if they are frustrated, we tell them we're going to take care of it, and we start asking them a bunch of questions. I feel like they kind of go back on the defensive sometimes because they feel like we're trying to place blame on it. Right. But instead, we're trying to just get down to the actual problem and see what it is, so we can send them the right part the first time. I feel like there's some way to make that a good clip, but I'm kind of losing how to ask the question, I guess.
Well, it's a little different for y'all because, I mean, most of the time it's the dealer fixing the problem. I mean, I don't know how often y'all have.
Man, well, we actually, that's one thing that's kind of, I feel that is very different about us because we've been very customer facing with our Facebook page. That's where we really got started.
Right.
The company was basically built off of Facebook. Kyler did that first video for us, and it was wild. But Facebook was really how we helped. So we were talking to the customers so much. Right. Like I replied for the first 3 years. I read every single comment and replied to every one of them. Right. Like now, I don't do that as much. We have marketing and stuff that handles a lot of that. But so the customer, even if they buy from a dealer, a lot of times they'll call us directly.
Right.
And because they may not want to take it to the dealership, they want to fix it themselves. And we encourage,
Right,
the
yeah.
customer, because we want it to be able to be fixed in the field and for them to take care of it.
Right. Because, I mean, most of these are probably at somebody's property, hunting camps, things
Yep.
like that. And, I need you to come pick up my tractor. Well, I can't come to your hunting camp and, get it out of the woods or
Yep.
something like that. So, if you can get a customer to fix, if they're technically inclined to fix it.
Yeah,
So that's where my dad would come into play. Like,
Right.
I'm not quite a handyman. Like, I know how to fix some things, but I would have to YouTube it, is honestly what I would probably do.
Dude, YouTube is the greatest
That's
teacher
it.
that I have.
I fixed my washing machine because of YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
So I was going to buy another one, and I'm like, you know what? I'm a man. I can fix this.
With YouTube and a couple tools, you can become very dangerous.
So,
Yeah, I've learned, like, when I started this company, I didn't know anything about hydraulics.
yeah.
And so I've learned a lot of stuff. Really, like we talk about the F around and find out. Like, that's how I figure. Like, I just like to break stuff to figure it out.
Right.
And so that's how I figure most stuff out. But yeah, in the beginning, like hydraulics, I didn't know a whole lot about it, and then just playing around with it and just trying to break stuff and figure things out is what's helped us a lot. And for a few years, we built our own valve kits and switch kits. And that's another thing we've done recently is we got teamed up with WR Long, which we kind of talked about.
Right.
It's taken out all the guesswork on installing these Lanesharks, and they have a kit for almost every single tractor out there. So now when a customer calls in, we just basically have to ask them what their tractor make and model is and what their loader is, and we can get them a full package now. And dealing with WR Long, which you've dealt with them.
Yep, they do our third functions as well.
Before we ever knew each other.
Right, yeah.
Wonderful company to work for. Work with.
Sure.
Nelson, the owner, man, he's jam up. Like anytime we have something that's going on, like almost every dealer that we talk to still talks to Nelson personally.
Really?
And he just runs an awesome
chance
company.
Nelson, call me.
Hey,
hadn't had a chance to talk to him
he's
yet,
a good
so.
dude. He very knowledgeable. Like he knows so much. Like he's probably forgotten more than I'll ever know about hydraulics.
You'd be amazed at how many people don't know what a third function is. And you try to explain to them. Look,
I wouldn't be amazed. It's man, that's one thing. Whenever I first started, we'd have people call in and we'd try to get their tractor make and model, and they'd be like, "Man, it's a green tractor."
Yeah,
that's all. Because they just don't care. Like they bought the tractor, it does what they need it to do, and that's all that they want to know. And so just by them needing a lane chart, they'll learn so much about their tractor that they probably didn't even care to know, but now they know, and maybe they can fix something.
Well, and again, now you've just made your piece of equipment that much more versatile.
Oh yeah,
so it's a game changer.
Yeah, it's definitely been a game changer, man. It's been a wild ride over the last few years. All right, so what we kind of talked about a minute ago, like how you plan your year. So what, if anything, do you have that's big and exciting coming up for 2024 for JBT Power?
So the big news is, which people have probably already seen it, but Kioti, one of the tractor main brands that we sell, came out with a skid steer. And
I think I have seen that.
Yeah, they just released them. Had some trouble getting them into the States, but I actually just got my shipping report that we're going to receive our first skid steers probably Tuesday or Wednesday.
Oh, cool.
So that's kind of a big and exciting thing for us moving forward, kind of starting to tap into that construction. A lot in our area in Baldwin County, it's growing by leaps and bounds.
Oh,
I mean, they are throwing houses up everywhere. And with that involves landscaping. And landscapers, use this equipment for installs and things like that. So, we're not, selling something that, you need a state trooper to help you pull it out of your driveway or something like that. So we see this as being a big opportunity in our business. And again, to continue to provide the customer service that we do, because we're not a giant corporation.
Right.
Every customer matters. And I can't afford to have, what the damage one bad review can do to somebody like us as a small local dealer is detrimental. So, we want to show that we have a full line of equipment. We're in construction, we're in lawn and garden. We provide that service across the board.
That's exciting.
So
how many different models are they coming out with?
So right now they just have one.
Okay.
It's a 75 horsepower. We have one wheeled, and I'm getting 5 tracked.
Okay.
So it's a vertical lift machine. It's pretty awesome. I've used it. We had a dealer meeting down in Orlando, and I actually got in it and kind of played around with it a little bit. So, one skid steer is kind of like all the skid steers. I think it's at a good price point too. I think it'll be very competitive on the market. And then they're also looking at coming out with a smaller skid steer and a larger skid steer with kind of a high flow and stuff like that.
Are they doing anything different than other skid steer manufacturers that like sets them apart, like a different type of glass windshield, one that does something different or anything like that?
Not really.
You know of yet?
No. And again, I haven't even got my hands on them yet to
Right.
kind of see, what makes this one different versus this one. I think Coyote has always been known for their lifting capabilities, bigger hydraulic tanks and things like that. So I'm sure if I got down and broke it down, it's, can lift more than the other orange one, something like that. So, I think it's just going to be, I got a Kioti tractor. I want to deal with a Kioti,
Right.
Deal with JBT Power.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I like for all my brands to be the same if possible.
Yeah.
It's just one-stop shop. So that'll be nice because especially with construction like the landscaping, they'll be able to do the skid steer for installing the landscaping. You got chainsaws, you got weed eaters, you got everything.
Mowers, maintenance.
One-stop shop is definitely more convenient. The less I have to leave the house, the better. So
exactly.
If I could just come see you and
one
get
tool for everything. Come
absolutely.
on.
So one thing that we haven't talked about, which kind of everybody is thinking about nowadays, is automation. I know that we're getting more automated tractors and stuff. Are you seeing any like automated lawnmowers, any stuff like that that's coming across that you're possibly going to sell anytime soon?
As far as we would sell, I don't see it right now. Everybody's coming out with them, and that's the whole goal because of the labor shortage and things like that. Automation is in the works. I think there's going to ton of kinks to work out because of GPS versus satellite versus ground wire. It's very unique. It's very interesting. I think the idea behind it is good because of the lack. You want to grow your business, but if there's nobody, you can't grow it by yourself. You got to have employees. You got to have help, and then you got to be able to rely on them to be there. And so I think with automation, it makes it a little bit easier to multitask. If you are one man, you can have I know I've seen some now to where if you just cut around the boundary of, let's just say, a football field, you cut around the boundary, well, then now GPS knows kind of where it needs to cut within.
Right.
And while the mower's doing that, you can go fix a sprinkler head that you ran over or something like that instead of running out of time, then having to come back because you have a schedule and things like that. So, I haven't really seen too much, or, we've not looked at that yet.
Still too kind of a niche product right now.
I don't think any have been released yet.
Oh, gotcha.
In the mower world. Now, I know they have those small, they almost look like a little Roomba.
Oh, yeah, the Roomba robot.
Yeah. So they have those that, can cut a small yard and things, and they're getting bigger and bigger to be able to cut, upwards of 4 to 10 acres, something like that. But, I don't know those. It's one of those unique things. Like, a lot of people like the idea of it, but they don't want to spend the money on it.
Right.
So instead, they just complain to us about it. So stuff like that.
It's an easy way to do it.
Right. Yeah. I would love to get one. How much more time I could spend playing golf or out on the boat or something. I'm doing it for the wrong reasons. I have to work more. Right. But, I love the idea of it because, again, I think it gives people more time to do other things than cutting their grass. But some people like to cut their grass.
Yeah.
And I do. I do like the enjoyment of getting out there and cutting and seeing the instant gratification you get from cutting and working and stuff like that.
Yeah, so. I just moved to a new house last year, so we have a smaller lot, but we're in a better spot. But my old house, I had 2.5 acres, and I had a 0-turn mower, and I would get out there and listen to podcasts, and it was very relaxing.
Yeah.
But then whenever it's really rainy and the grass grows super fast, it's like I've listened to enough podcasts in the last 2 weeks. I'd rather not cut the grass.
Right.
So I totally get that. But as far as in that where you mentioned finding like the labor shortage, what do you have any challenges finding good people, like especially mechanics, and techs in the back? Do you have how do you find good people?
Next. No. So how do we find good people? Well, the big thing is when you do find them, you definitely got to hang on to them. And we have a great team at JBT Power. I will say, I enjoy going to work because of the people that I work with.
Right.
And if you have a bad egg, you can definitely find out quick. So, to everybody that works at JBT Power at both locations, I would go to either one. I enjoy it. As far as finding mechanics, that has been a real struggle, and especially in outdoor power equipment, because I don't think that people appreciate the lawnmower, the tractor, like they do a Mercedes or a car or something like that. Mercedes can charge you $1,000 to change the oil. You got to spend $1,000 to do a full hydraulic service on a tractor, and everybody's up in arms about it. So, and then okay, well, if I don't charge $1,000, I got to have a less experienced tech because I can't pay an experienced tech and be able to charge and things like that. So, mechanics has been probably our biggest hurdle or struggle that we've dealt with. I've got some good ones right now, and we're continuing to train. One thing that we do, because my lead mechanic in Daphne is not a mechanic by trade, and so we've put training in front of him. We've let him take classes and things like that to help build his knowledge. And then we lucked up on our mechanic at our other location. He was tired of traveling. And, he's just like, I'm looking for a mechanic job. And we hired him on the spot, and he's been outstanding. So, we've got two good ones, but to grow, we definitely need more. And I don't know. Technical schools is one of the good things. There's a local school that's a technical school over where I grew up, and they have a service class, like to teach small engine mechanics. And I don't know if it's something that people are just not interested in, or, they can make a TikTok and become famous and not have to do that. It's weird.
Yeah, the social media stuff, like, it's like I saw something the other day. It's like the number one desired occupation now is like
to be an influencer.
Yeah. Like what good are you adding to this world? Like just talking and talk. Like I'll be honest, like doing this podcast like this, like I think it's going to be fun and it's going to be awesome. But like in the back of my mind, I'm like, who gives what I have to say? Because like I like to just build stuff and do things. Like so I can't imagine
it's going to set you apart though.
I mean
that's what's cool.
It will, but like I can't imagine the hubris of like I'm just going to be an influencer.
Yeah,
I'm going to do this. People are going to want to know what I have to say. It's odd. To me.
And kind of like we'll circle back to it. Like I don't think everything's so automated now for everything. Mm-hmm. I know I had heard rumblings that Home Depot was getting out of 2-cycle because they can't fix it, so they'll go all battery, and if it doesn't work, throw it away and buy a new one. Or so now you're taking the technicality or the technician out of the picture because it's just battery, it's disposable, something like that. So, my dad can fix a hell of a lot more stuff than I can.
Right. Same here.
And it's one of those things where I just, you replace it. You don't fix it, you replace it. So I think that has something to do with it. And then I think it's also not a sexy job to do. Get greasy and work and,
I don't know. Some women find that pretty sexy.
They could do.
Yeah.
So.
There's, fireman calendars and all that.
That's right. Yeah.
Greasy mechanic.
That's what I need to do as
we were just talking about doing a calendar yesterday, so we can put you on the cover.
Let's do it, man. I'm in.
You just got to get all greased up and muscle shirt.
I can do it.
All right, perfect.
It's gonna have to be a muscle shirt. There ain't. Great when I haven't I could jog, it wouldn't kill me, but I was on a dead sprint at the Sims Christmas parade because the cop wouldn't let me drive down the road. And the parade was leaving, and there was no key in the tractor. So I go dead sprint it had to have been it felt like 6 miles, but it's like 1,000 yards, just full sprint. And I almost passed out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I got down there, I'm like, holy hell. Like, I knew I was out of shape, but, I mean, this is just bad. And, so.
Yeah, the pandemic's been rough on all of us. Yeah. The pandemic's been over for a while, but it's still been rough on all of us.
Yeah. Lingering side effects.
Yeah. So one question I want to ask you that you mentioned, and I think it's kind of an interesting one. So What would you be doing if you weren't selling tractors?
Man, what would I be doing, or what would I want to be doing?
Let's go with both.
All right. So what would I be doing? I really enjoyed the alcohol industry. I wouldn't mind doing something in that industry. Because like I'm a let's see, how do I
Social
say this?
butterfly?
Well, yeah, definitely. And I like to consume domestic light lagers and California grape juice. So and I like French grape juice and Italian grape juice, and it's amazing. So I think that it's pretty interesting, the wine industry. They did a documentary on, I think Netflix had it out or something like that. But like seeing what happens inside the wine industry, from growing a grape to what it signifies, you know, bottles of wine going for $10,000. Like, why?
I would love to have the answer to that.
Yeah. So, I like that part of it. So I would probably do something in that industry because, again, you're always better at something that you like. So I like my grape juice.
Yeah. So
Probably why I can't sprint.
maybe. So then if you could snap your fingers and do anything you wanted, what would that be?
Man, if I could do anything that I wanted to do, I'd probably be, I'd really like to be a lawyer,
Really?
an attorney. Yeah. Maybe a pro golfer. They seem to make a lot of money, but
I think pro golfer fits you
yeah,
pretty well.
maybe a stand-up comedian or start a podcast.
Hey, well, we got the last one right here.
We're in here. Yeah.
You could be our
Starting it off.
what is it?
Weekly call-in.
Weekly call-in guest.
Yeah.
Or whatever. We'll just call you up every time we have somebody in here.
Perfect. Woody's winners. Give out sports picks or something.
All right, so we are getting close to wrapping up, but I do want to ask you a somewhat serious question.
Talk to me.
Are aliens real?
No.
Okay. What do you think the government's telling us with all this other stuff? Is it us from the future? Is it just really advanced stuff that they have?
About what?
They're telling us that there's aliens.
Listen, I learned one thing from a buddy of mine. Told me this: if you want to be happier, stay off social media. If you want to be smarter, stop watching the news.
Yeah, what is it? Denzel Washington said, if you watch the news, you're misinformed. If you don't watch the news, then you're just not informed. Probably says it better than I do. But.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Like again, and that's what It's funny. People talk about. I saw that person on Facebook was doing this. I saw that person on Instagram was doing this. I'm like, what does it matter?
Oh yeah, that's one thing I
turn
try
it
to
off.
Stay away from the rumor mill of like what people are doing for sure. Yeah. So anyway, as we wrap up our first podcast, I would like to hand the floor over to you. First, I want to thank you very much for your time. I greatly appreciate you coming over here.
No, thank you for having me.
Giving us so much information to go off of today.
Yeah.
But so we'll wrap it up. We'll let you talk at the end. If there's anything you want to tell the wlisteners, announce, or whatever you want to say.
I really appreciate you having me. It's been something that I always tell my wife I wanted to start a podcast because I feel like I have so much to say. And when Brandon talked to me about it, I'm like, I'm in. Like, what do I need to do? I'll be there.
Yeah.
We'll figure this out. So it's definitely been awesome. You guys got a great setup here. I can't wait to be back. I better not be. If you ain't first, you ain't last, right? So, just thank you to you guys for having me. JBT Power. Just a little bit about it. It's a local business, veteran owned and operated. My father was in the Marine Corps, and then he was an Army Reserve pilot. And he really did this to help people. He likes to be outside, and it's all about customer service. And I think that if anybody does come to JBT and sees that, they'll know that we truly care what you're looking for and what you're doing with your property or with your lawn. We want to make sure you have the right equipment to make life easy outside, because that's essentially what we do. I personally use a pole saw. I don't like using a pole saw. What do we sell now? We sell Lanesharks. So you don't have to use a pole saw.
Right.
So, and that makes life easy outside, because I've had many, many hours behind it, and where my neck feels like I'm growing these giant muscles. They're not there, though.
Yeah.
You can see. But, we make life easy outside, and, thank you to you, and thank you to all the employees that we have to continue to help JBT grow. And I'm very thankful to where we are as a company, and excited to see as we continue to grow and the new people that we get involved with. So, You know, if there's ever anything, if you just want to call and ask us a question, you know, call JBT Power, and you may not be in our market, but we're still going to try and help you. As you know, Travis wasn't there buying anything.
Yeah, man. Like I say, that was huge. Like Karen and Rick definitely went above and beyond to help me. So, and that was again before we ever even thought about.
We did not sell Lanesharkin at that time.
So, you definitely have some good people that work for you. So that's awesome.
Yep.
So that I guess that's kind of a wrap.
That's a wrap
for today. So
my turn, right?
Yeah, you can clap.
That's it.
So again, I'm Travis. This has been Lanesharkin with our special guest Ben Wood. So thanks for listening. If y'all made it this far, hopefully you liked it. And also, if anybody does watch this and you have suggestions for next time or any special guests that we should interview, feel free to give us a comment. We'll try to make you guys as happy as possible within the bounds of the law. And yeah, that's it.
Good idea.
Yeah. Thank you guys.